Okay, so what did you think? Is it significant that anything has happened to Mrs. Marriott? Is it significant just in terms of the walk, or is this giving us a clue to the wider plot and the other things that happen in the text? Okay, we'll read on. We'll find out. The line shortened as those further back caught up and stopped. The children milled about, wondering what was happening, and a girl called out, "Is this where we're eating our lunch, sir?" Mr. Hepworth shook his head. "No, Samantha Farley, it is not. We're waiting for Mrs. Evans, who has fallen behind a bit." He said something quietly to Mrs. Marriott, who came along the line counting heads. "One missing," she called. Who do you think the missing person could be? "Is it Ellie May? I don't think I've seen her." "It is, miss," said Hayley Denton. "I saw her dropping back ages ago." "That's probably it then," said Mr. Hepworth. "Ellie May fell behind and Mrs. Evans is walking with her. I thought she wasn't looking too bright back at the hotel." He looked at his watch. "We'll give them 5 minutes and then set back off. Take your backpacks off and sit down. We might as well take a breather while we can." Fliss went back to sit with Lisa, but she hadn't been sitting for more than a minute when one of the boys yelled, "They're coming, sir!" Everybody watched as the two figures approached. When they reached the place where Lisa and Fliss were sitting, Mrs. Evans said, "Now then, Ellie May, you sit with Felicity and Lisa. They'll look after you." She smiled, putting Ellie May's knapsack, which she'd been carrying, on the grass. "Ellie May's not feeling very well, girls. You'll look after her, won't you?" "Yes, miss. I knew you would." She smiled again and moved on, murmuring, "Sensible girls. Nice, sensible girls." Ellie May looked awful. Her cheeks were white and there were dark smudges, like bruises, underneath her eyes. She sat down. "I couldn't keep up," she growled. "I tried, but I went all dizzy. Silly Mrs. Evans made me sit with my head between my knees for a bit, and I had to drink tea from her flask. Tasted awful. As soon as I felt a bit better, we set off after you again at about 50 miles an hour, and now I feel rotten again." "Mrs. Evans is nice," said Lisa. "She carried your pack, didn't she? What's the matter with you anyway? Tummy bug or something?" Ellie May scowled. "I don't know, do I? Why do you have to ask such stupid questions?" "Hey, Sunderland!" A group of boys were sitting nearby. One of them, David Trotter, grinned across at Ellie May. "If you didn't go creeping about in the middle of the night, we wouldn't have to hang around waiting for you when we're supposed to be out walking." Ellie May shook her head. "I don't know what you're talking about. I don't creep around. I was asleep all night." "Oh, you lying so-and-so, I saw you. 2:30 it was. You'd been to the top floor." "Had she?" "You came down to our landing and disappeared down the stairs. I watched you from the bathroom." "Did he?" It's a bit of a coincidence, isn't it? That he apparently has seen Ellie May in the night walking up the stairs, and Fliss that night had heard footsteps. So was it Ellie May? You've got two pieces of quite convincing evidence there that it could be. And now she looks dreadful, really ill, dark bags underneath her eyes, very dizzy. Is it linked? Is it a coincidence? "No, you weren't. You couldn't. I never left the room, so there." "Blue pyjamas? With rabbits on, right?" "Shut up. I don't know what you're on about." "I'm on about your pyjamas. You've got blue ones with rabbits on, haven't you?" "So what?" "So, how would I know if I didn't see you?" "I don't know. Maybe you were on the stairs or something when I was getting ready for bed. Maybe it's you that creeps about at night." Fliss sat chewing on a grass stalk, gazing out to sea. She was thinking about last night. Those noises from the cupboard. The footsteps. Lisa had said it was a dream. She tried to believe it was. But there was the water on the bathroom floor, and now this. She'd heard footsteps in the small hours, and Ellie Mae had been seen coming down the stairs in pyjamas. Pyjamas with rabbits on them. So maybe it wasn't a dream. But if it wasn't a dream, what was it? Had Ellie Mae been in the cupboard last night? Was that possible? It was where the noises had come from, but then what about the number? If the noises were real, so was the number, yet it wasn't there this morning. And anyway, why would anyone be in a cupboard at 2 a.m? The whole thing was crazy. Unless she shivered. Oh, so many unanswered questions. We've got some pretty strong evidence that Ellie Mae was definitely out of her bed though. Seen and heard by 2 people, and the fact that Gary has been able to identify the pyjamas that she was wearing is pretty convincing that he has actually seen her out of bed. But whether it is just a coincidence and whether the rest of it is imagined, it's really hard to know, isn't it? What's real and what's not real. And that's why it's such a gripping story, because we don't know. But we shall read on. We'll read chapter 12 next.